So today we're going to be talking about paternity fraud and what it's like to be a stepdad. So if you're in a heavy discussion and debate in the comment sections and whatnot, you've certainly come to the right place, so buckle your seatbelts. Here we go. I became a stepdad about 3 or 4 years ago when my girlfriend at the time, now wife, moved in with me, and we, made somewhat of a home together and whatnot. At the time, I paid separate taxes. I didn't think anything of it. And then later on, I learned that I was responsible for the child. Now, at the time, I didn't really realize that, the government system is really set up that way. It took a lot of investigative work and looking up laws and stuff like that to figure out exactly where I stand as far as a father figure is concerned. Now, let me be as clear as I can here. I love her like a daughter. I call her my daughter because I feel that she is my daughter. But she's not biologically my daughter. I don't really think that matters too much because there is a stronger bond, I feel, than she has with her biological father. So that being said, I certainly don't have an issue supporting her financially, putting her through college, buying her first car, stuff like that. I don't have a problem doing that. Should I be made to? That is the real question here. I live in Ontario, Canada, and I love my country for the most part, but we have some messed up laws. The laws here practically state that every man that even gets involved with a single mother is responsible for that person's child. What weak cuck of a man decided how many years ago that this was a law that Canada needed to have? And it's not just Canada. There's a lot of states as well that carry similar laws. Here in Canada, the second that you exchange keys with a woman, you're on the hook for that woman's child. For some reason. I don't understand. At what point do we not hold the biological father responsible for financially raising a child? At some point we decided that that's just not something we're going to do anymore. Now there's laws and there's what's right. You have unprotected sex and end up producing a child. You should pay for that child. It's that simple. I don't believe otherwise. That's the rule of man. That's the rule of, the land. That's the way it should be. I think everybody can agree on that. And what people don't see is the stepfather position in particular. Me being a stepfather, there's a lot of rules and boundaries that I don't get. First of all, I didn't have the sex to begin with. Okay? So I missed out on that, but I don't miss out on paying for the child in the long run. Now, being a stepdad, because you're not the biological father, you usually hear the same thing from any bratty stepchild anyway, that, you're not my real father, you can't tell me what to do. You always hear the same thing. And single mothers don't really stop that from happening. Most single mothers are just like, yeah, well, you're not her father, you can't tell her what to do. Well, that's kind of funny, because am I not on the hook for her until she's 18 years old? So at what point did society agree that stepfathers can't, tell their stepchildren what to do, but they have to pay for them? That makes no sense. Okay, so the biological father, on the reverse side, they can tell the child what to do, but they don't pay a damn thing. How does that make any sense? It's like these rules are set in opposition, completely negative of one another. It makes no sense to me. Luckily, I've never had to worry about that, knock on wood. But some stepfathers out there, you might be dealing with this sort of resentment, where a child will come out and say that. And what do you say at that point? What do you say at that point? Because you can't say, okay, well, if I can't tell you what to do, then I'm not going to pay for your shit. What is she going to say? If she knows the law, she'll say, actually, because you live with me, you do have to pay. And you can't tell me what to do.
Let's say a giraffe.
I just want a bicycle!
Why are you yelling at me?
Whatever, make me a bicycle, clown!
This is where shitty children come from. This is where, entitled, bratty children come from. It's the same idea as, you can't spank your child. I think there are better ways to discipline a child, don't get me wrong. I know one person in particular, and I won't mention names, they spent their whole life being, extremely disrespectful, as a kid anyway. And one day they said the wrong thing to the wrong person, and somebody got up and just backhanded them, and that was the end of it. After that, the kid was respectful. The kid was straightened out and he started doing better at school and everything. So, but I digress. There are other stories. There are people out there that are going to jail for not paying child support for children they didn't even know that they had. And then it turns out after they get charged and go to prison that child was never biologically theirs. I've seen some horror stories out there, some true horror stories. So without further ado, I'm just going to let you watch that and be your own judge.
Carnell Alexander walked into the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice knowing in moments he could lose his freedom.
I stayed up all night, couldn't sleep, thinking about it.
Carnell is a wanted man because he refuses to do what the state orders and pay child support for a child that DNA tests prove isn't his. A child he doesn't even know.
I haven't even had a chance to really speak to him, except for one time when we took the DNA test.
Nonetheless, right now, under the law, he's a deadbeat dad. Today, he turned himself in to the judge as ordered. The judge said he will not go to jail for today.
Thank you. Thank Ms. Harris. And hope that we can resolve this soon.
I'm just trying to help him with his future.
Though the threat of jail is on hold, it is not over. Carnell Alexander still owes more than $30,000 to the state for a child that's not his because the mom wrote his name down because she needed to name someone in order to get welfare benefits.
And I had to put him down as the father. That was the only way I can get the system.
Now,
I'm almost homeless. I'm almost in jail. I'm out of work. My money is being threatened to be taken.
Football was Michael Thomas's future, but a mix-up in paperwork and a demand for cash destroyed his dreams. A sigh of frustration as Michael Thomas thumbs through what could have been.
By now, I would be a sophomore or going into my junior year.
Instead, he dropped a football scholarship, dropped out of college, and supported a responsibility that was not his.
The whole time I was in college, I kept on getting phone calls from DHS.
Calls accusing him of fathering a baby girl, calls that started in high school.
I knew I wasn't a father, never met her.
So he took a paternity test to prove it.
Never got the results.
But he did get letters, phone calls, and DHS continued to take his money.
That's not justice.
Then there was a second test.
I never got any results.
So he hired an attorney.
We just went ahead and filed the federal lawsuit last week.
And the money finally stopped coming out of his paychecks.
It's been a big damper.
Even more frustrating, after all the money DHS took, Thomas says they only offered to give him
$51 back.
It's absurd.
And it's still unresolved. DHS says this case is still under investigation. Currently, they say they have more than 185,000 cases open across the state.
So now you can see that this thing has gotten way out of hand. So what can we do? The best thing we can do is write to our congressman and try to pass some laws so men have some kind of rights here. Since as far back as people can remember, the law has always been that men pay. There are some deadbeat dads out there, and they do need to pay. Don't get me wrong, okay? But you do the deed, you do the time. That's the way it works. If you commit a crime, then you get caught and you do the time. That's the way it works, okay? That's the way it always works. So if you had sex, you made a baby, you pay for the kid. It's that simple. But anyway, my heart does go out to people that are facing these kind of problems right now, and I wish you the best. Hire a lawyer. That's my best advice. Hire a lawyer and try to figure a way around this. But as long as these laws are in place, we can't really fight anything. And a lot of people don't take men seriously. That's a big deal. So my advice to any men that might be in this situation, hire a lawyer. At least know your rights. Chances are you're going to get fucked, and that's the way it's going to work. That's just the way the system's set up, and until men step up and demand some rights here, because men don't have any rights the way I'm seeing it anyway. We seem to be on the hook for everything, and I mean everything. Every problem that goes on in the workplace, you know, this whole Me Too movement, which I'm going to be doing a video on soon, by the way. We have no due process. We can lose our careers with a snap of a finger. All it takes is someone to make up a lie. This is way out of hand. And you know what? Men aren't going to take this for much longer. This is just one of many videos that I'm going to be doing on this subject, so I hope you enjoyed it. In the meantime, don't forget to slap that subscribe button, and if you get a chance, pick up my Politically Impaired mug. It's on sale right now, so check the link in the description. Also, I haven't mentioned it in a long time, but I actually do have a book if you're interested in picking up. It's a nice thick book, so if you want to pick that up, check the link in the description as well. Don't be shy in the comment section. If you have any suggestions for videos, I'm all ears. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you next time.